Hey everyone, and welcome to Almost Cancelled. I am Peter, that is Connor, and we are going to talk about Room 104, Season 1, Episode 4. It's called I Knew You Weren't Dead. Full spoilers for the episode as always. So, one thing we're going to do at the end of this, I'm going to do a little bit of a sort of re-review of last week, just based on like some new theories and stuff, because there was a lot to interpret last week, and we got some good comments I wanted to comment on. So we'll do that at the end, a little bit extra on the knock-a-do from last week. But what was this episode? What was episode 4? Episode 4 was about a character named Daniel who's in the motel room on his own, and well, first of all, he's played by Jay Duplass, so he's one of the creators of the show. So that's fun. So I'm expecting Mark to show up at some point, because he also
Makes
does a lot of
sense,
acting.
wouldn't it?
Yeah. So this is an episode about him, and we see that he's in a bad place with presumably his wife or girlfriend. It's hard to, at first it's just like, there's a woman on the phone named Diane, the phone named Diane, and she's like, I know you're going through a hard time. It's like a message she's left them, and so I know you're going through a hard time, but like, and I know it's rough, but you have to get over it. I'm not ready to do this, and that kind of idea. And he seems kind of sad and pathetic. Like, there's a fun little bit where he's got an empty packet, and
Yeah.
he's trying to throw it in the trash, and he keeps like missing it to the point where he walks right in front of it and still misses it like 3 times before he gets angry and finally gets it in, which is paid off nicely when the other character shows up, Patrick, who comes in, he throws something in within the first 3 seconds and gets it in from across the room, and it just shows you that his life's not quite right. Like, something's off right now. His life's not going well. But Patrick shows up, and his first encounter with him, like, he wakes up from, and it's like, okay, that was a dream. Okay, fine,
Yeah.
right? But as soon as he walked in, I felt like he's not really there. Like, it had that feeling to it.
Right.
I felt like he wasn't supposed to be there. First of all, and this comes into the plot, but he's much younger. He acts younger.
Just the way he just strolls in like he
Yeah.
was expected, but he clearly wasn't expected. And if this had been, his home they'd walked into, I could buy it. Like a friend just coming
Oh
around.
yeah,
But this is a motel room. People don't just do that.
yeah. Because I think even he has a line. He says, "I live here." I think he says that when he comes in. He's like, "What are you doing here?" "Well, I live here." I think he says
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Which obviously is a weird thing to say when you're in a hotel room. So, but he wakes up, right? The conversation goes whatever. He wakes up and he gets a little bit stressed. He goes and pees. He's clearly, it's rattled him a little bit. He checks his phone and he's left a message for this Diane. He says, "Please return my call." So he's
Yeah.
obviously wants to talk to Diane. To the point where he's on the laptop and he's looking at photos of him and his buddy, that we just met, Patrick. But he also looks much younger. He looks the same age as Patrick in these photos. And obviously, right away, you're like, okay, the friend died when he was that age, like when they were
Yeah.
college aged. Is that, the woman on the phone did say it's been 20 years. That's what it's been 20 years since.
Right.
Right. I think this one's a lot less hard to
Yeah.
decrypt than the last
I
couple.
think it's the most straightforward in terms of what
Yeah.
it's doing and what the message is, and it's pretty straightforward, I think.
Yeah. I mean, someone might blow our brains and like give us this weird alternate take that we weren't expecting, but
Yeah.
at least so he basically like he closes his laptop and he like kind of essentially prays. That's essentially what he does. Is he prays for his friend to show back up, and sure enough, he finds him in the bathtub, which is a really nice touch because you find out later that he drowned. So the fact that he
Yeah.
found him in the water in the room is actually quite a fun little touch. But he gets up and they sit down and they have a conversation. And again, much like the dream, he offers him the rest of his Subway sandwich that's been sitting there. And I like that no matter how many times he shows up and eats some of the sandwich, there's always the same amount of sandwich left. So he's not really. And obviously, the question then sort of becomes like, is he actually like seeing an angel, or is this just completely 100% in his head?
Right, and then just the question of why is he seeing this?
Yeah, I mean, I think I side on it's just in his head. In this case, it really feels like it's him getting through his own issues rather
Yeah.
than it being a real sort of presence from someone. It feels like he is broken, like that, which is ultimately what the episode's about. It's about him admitting that he is not okay with what happened. And as they have their conversation, and at first it's it's very nice. He's asking for advice. He wanted to speak to him because his wife, turns out it's his wife Diane, is mad at him because he had an affair with someone, and he's asking for advice about the affair. And he named his son after this guy Patrick. And Patrick even jokes about it. I really like the acting from Patrick in this episode. Actually,
Yeah.
he does a really good job of coming across as someone who is a bit immature and like sort of that 20s, just early 20s kind of
Right, but
attitude.
he's playing off this older person, just
Yeah,
being really straight with things.
yeah, but it turns as it turns later, and obviously there's the great scene in the dream sequence earlier on where his face starts to kind of like, because I thought it was going to be like a car accident or something because of that scene, because his face kind of
Mm.
droops down. I thought maybe he'd get hit in the face in a car, like
Yeah, yeah, I see what you mean. It,
uh,
it it looks like something really visually bad happened, doesn't it?
and maybe it still did. Maybe when he drowned, he get hit off, off a rock or something like that. It could have still been the case,
Right.
uh, but then it comes up. It comes up what happened, and Patrick actually starts asking questions about why he didn't help, why Daniel didn't come in after him, and as it basically paints the picture, but it becomes more clear as it goes on, which is basically he was on the shore, like he was at the beach, he was fine, but Patrick was out there, he was clearly starting to struggle, rough current kind of thing. It wasn't a rough current, it was a break. Because he mentioned the current wasn't that bad. That was one of the points he made, because he's like, you could have come out, it wasn't actually that dangerous. I get into trouble, but you could have like came and saved me. It wasn't like you were just instantly going to die as well.
Right.
But it becomes like almost to the point I was surprised how much it was painting the picture for me. I was like, this is really. I was always expecting a big twist where it was more than what it seemed
Right.
at the end.
And this is the scene that tells me that it's in his head and it's not some, divine intervention. Because if it was, the whole point of the episode is that he kind of manages to get over this, right? And he's got this survivor's guilt, and like you say, he's broken.
Yeah.
And so this is his mind telling him that he did wrong, and that's why he's feeling guilty. That's the point here.
I liked how because before he admits that he's dead before we find out how he died, and I liked it when he's like, oh, so what do you do all day when you're not with me? And he's like, oh, you don't really want to know. It's like, no, I do. And he says, well, I'm always swimming, and I like that because he probably drowned, like went through my head at that point. But even if he didn't, I actually kind of like this idea that it is just this constant swim. Like it's just like there's no end to it. It's just
It's just treading water.
yeah, that's all it is. I like that, but it was also a nice subtle way to bring in the idea of the water and the idea that that's how he died.
Yeah.
And then it goes on, and he ends up, Daniel breaks down. He can't handle the questioning, and he's like, no, it wasn't like, it was dangerous, and you shouldn't have went out there in the first place. And it's like, you're my friend though, you should have came. Like I stopped you from drink driving one time. Like I made
he
sure
said
you were
if it was
safe.
dangerous, you should have stopped me. You should have called me back.
Yeah. And maybe that's the real guilt, because I mean, even because obviously after this, when he comes back again, but he's an old man this time, but he still has the same voice. They've dubbed the young actor's voice over it. Which was hit and miss. Like it kind of worked because it was off-putting, but that was kind of intentional because it felt weird and not quite right.
And it definitely didn't sync up all the time either.
No, it was hit and miss with the sync. But he, at that point, he actually admits, yeah, if you came out after me, you would have died too. But I guess that's the whole point. Is the guilt isn't that he didn't go out after him. The guilt is that he didn't even stop him in the first place. Like he should have known that this was dangerous from the get-go, and he didn't, which is what he's really feeling guilty about. And and this is the scene where he finally admits that he's sorry, and he let him down. He should have done something. Like he admits that to him, and of course, as you'd expect after this scene when he disappears, and I like how when he comes out of that, he kind of does that thing where he's been leaning on his shoulder, and when it cuts away and he cuts back and he's not there, he kind of does that thing where he's like,
it's falls forward. Yeah.
It's like he's just falling asleep and he catches himself. And that's when he goes over to the phone and he types in another message saying, "You're right, I'm broken, but I don't want to be. I'm trying." It's just, and you never actually see if he gets a response. The music just kind of gets a little bit emotional and a little bit sweet, and we go to credits, and that's it. But it's just about him accepting why he's felt this way all these years.
Right. It's to go back to the message that we hear from Diane. She says you're a child. And it's this idea that it was stuck being, like 20 or 21, whatever it was.
He never grew up because he could never let himself.
But now this is like, no, you're right, but I want to be. I don't want to be. I want to grow up. I want to move on. And it's accepting that.
And that's the episode. It's actually really straightforward, this one. I wouldn't say this. I actually thought it was well done. Like I thought the acting was well handled.
And when he loses his temper and he hits him and he smashes.
Oh yeah, I loved that moment. That was really good.
That was fantastic. I was like, damn, didn't see that coming. It's not like a massive game changer or anything, but just the visual effect of it, and just the moment, and
It just
you felt the
it
anger.
it looked really nice. I think more than anything else, it just looked a really impressive effect and really
Did
simple.
yeah.
Uh, and like you say, the idea of it shattering, him shattering,
Yeah,
uh,
because his life shattered, kind of thing at
ex-
that moment.
exactly, yeah. So it's good, it's good stuff. I thought the music was quite good. I liked the sort of, because I think it was probably the most traditional score that we've had for one of these episodes, where it's kind of a soothing, emotional sort of violin that comes in.
Yeah, a lot of them are these moody synths.
Yeah, which I love as well. Don't get me
Oh
wrong,
yeah, yeah, they've been
but
great for those episodes. But this
yeah,
was, like I say, it's a bit almost romantic.
yeah. Also, I like this continuing theme that when he does first appear, well, not the first appearance, admittedly, but the when he calls for him, he appears in the bathroom. We're kind of continuing this theme that the bathroom is this hiding place where
The
people
bathroom's
appear.
like this. It's like this doorway to the other world.
It almost is, yeah. Because someone had a good comment. I'm not in the knockado yet, but about last week how she was the first character we saw walk into the bathroom, and then we stayed in the bathroom with her, and it was almost like from that point on she was not quite the person she was
Right,
before she went
she
in.
got changed
Yeah,
in there. That was the point of that scene,
exactly.
and it
Yeah,
was the idea that she's getting changed and getting moving into this other world.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So, um,
I
is
love
it?
that as well. Before he walks in the bathroom, when you just hear it, you can just hear the running water, and he knows instantly. It's like, oh, water.
Yeah, so it's not that hard to decipher this one, I don't think, but it's really well done, well acted, well shot, good
Yeah,
music, uh, simple but good messaging. So it's hard to
right.
fault it. I will say that I maybe didn't I think I didn't love it maybe as much as episode 1 or 3 because I just think those were more fascinating because of what's going on. Like,
Yeah, there's more going on. Whereas this
yeah,
is it's good. It's it's about dealing with survivor's guilt and
yeah,
accepting you've got to move on and still live your life instead of being stuck in the moment.
yeah,
But like it's ultimately it's not doing much more than that, even though that's
and
perfectly
ultimately,
fine.
yeah, his guilt has a face because it's one person specifically. It was his best friend.
Right.
And I actually kind of like how even from the get go, there's this weird tension between see when like he comes in and sees him in the bathroom and he's like, "Oh, are you spying on me, you perv?" And it's just like he's just joking, but there's this weird kind of like,
Homoeroticism. It's I feel
well,
it's there
kind
a few times.
yeah, it's kind of because there's a hug there earlier on, but it doesn't actually feel homoerotic though. That's kind of my point. It feels
Right.
more like he's acting that way because he knows he's dead and he misses him, right?
Yeah.
But the other actors, the other characters playing it off as if it is just like a homoerotic joke,
Yeah.
right? But he's not actually playing it that way. Daniel's actually just happy to see him, so he hugs him, and he's relieved to see him when he's in the bath, so he's relieved and he smiles because of that. So I don't think it's actually homoerotic. It's just but they both play it
But
differently.
they play it, yeah.
Yeah,
Because one of them's playing it like it is, and one of them's not.
and that's what gives it this weird kind of tension. It's like
Yeah.
there's something not quite right with what's going on here. There's something off, and yeah. So I think it's well executed in that sense.
Oh, definitely, and it's very well acted, of course.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
that's been consistent across the show, so far, where pretty much everything's been really well acted.
Still waiting for the. I mean, episode 2 was pretty funny, but I still wouldn't quite call that a comedy. I'm still waiting for a comedy episode because that's what you thought this show was going to be before it started.
Yeah,
Still not quite there.
one of them's bound to be. There's 12 episodes, and
Yeah.
we've jumped genres a few
Which,
times.
by the way, isn't a complaint. Comedy's like, I mean, out of all the genres I like, comedy's probably at the bottom. But still, just for the sake of that, I expected a comedy. I'm waiting for a comedy.
It'll be the last episode.
Probably nice light-hearted one too. No, it'll be
Uh,
it'll be funny till the last 2 minutes, and it'll be the darkest one of the whole lot.
yeah, gotta end on something poignant.
Funny, 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 funny. Bunch of dead kids. That's what the last episode will be. Right.
If it turns out that, then
I want a cookie. Got it right.
yeah.
All right. So before we go, I just want to do a quick little sort of additional thing to last week's. I won't do this for every week because it was just that this one had so many good theories and interpretations that some of our comments were really good and like really like some took what we said and basically just added a couple of elements. Like one person said at the end of the episode she actually did transcend. She got what she wanted to do. It just wasn't maybe in the way that anyone expected it because she finally fought back. That was her transcending. But one of the things that we said during the review is or at least I think I did, is that the Pink Doctor was actually, it reminded me of someone like masking a memory to so they didn't have to deal with the pain. Like they were something traumatic, so they were putting something weird and silly over the top of it to distract from it. And some people really ran with that and really said no, they think that's actually what happened, and they think someone said, "Oh, well, she mentioned she became a woman. She bled that day. What if that wasn't a period? What if that was actually her virginity?" And this Pink Doctor was a sexual assault.
Right. And it works with the friend from
Yeah,
before.
because as soon as I read that, as soon as someone's put that idea in my head, I went, "Wait a minute! The other character, Herman, the friend who took her out there in the first place, he said the Pink Doctor made it better than it was before. He made it bigger." And I'm like, "Oh, that actually has a really weird undertone now." Like,
Yeah. Now that you think about it, it's
yeah,
there.
if the Pink Doctor's someone that he also met out there, and it also stands to reason that he's doing this game, the Knockadoo, where he puts his penis through the hole. Like that almost sounds like the sort of thing where a kid's copying something an adult's shown them.
Right.
So I almost think he's met the Pink Doctor. The Pink Doctor's done that with him to get him to engage in an act, and he's done it to the girl. The girl's went back out there, and then the same person's assaulted her.
Yeah.
And this has all been a coping mechanism. Do you know what? That theory is so good that I am actually on board with it now. That's actually what I think it's about. Not that we said didn't work, it did.
Yeah, it doesn't undermine the messaging and point that we were saying about it. It's just it's a coping mechanism on top of that of what we said.
And there was a lot of theories that were sort of various versions of that. There was a lot of other things that were a little bit different. Like there was one where they actually thought Orlando Jones's character and Tony Todd's characters were both demons as well. They were both incompletes, and it was all corruption, and like that was a bit more far fetched. But like it's not insane either. Like I think it's a sign of a really interesting episode that we got so many comments with so many different varied interpretations. Some that were close together, some that were a little bit further apart, but all of them felt kind of like there was only one or two out of like 30 that I thought, nah, that's bullshit. It's not that. But the rest of them were all pretty good. I think that's a pretty cool sign. So, by all means, comment with interpretations and your own theories and stuff. Because sometimes it adds to each other. Sometimes you end up with the
and it'll be really interesting because we've said this one here is the most straightforward, and we don't really think there's that much more to it. But
someone's going to.
I feel like I'm going to be shocked now, and someone's going to come out with like a whole bunch of things that we've just not even considered.
Very probably. This one did feel very clear cut to me, but if someone's going to blow our minds, I am happy to hear it. So. Thanks for watching, guys. Let us know what you think of the episode, of course, and your own theories in the comments below. Like, subscribe, all that stuff. Get us on Twitter at mailed_fuzz for channel updates. If you want to support the channel, head over to patreon.com/mailfuzztv. You can do so over there, but otherwise that is us. So thank you once again for watching. We'll see you next time. Have you got any vanilla?